Hey everyone, I want to talk to you today a little bit about what could be called Christarchy, which is could be a shorthand for Christian anarchy, or you could just see it as an approach of looking at the world in the sense of recognizing that no merely human authority can truly rule society. And the only kind of rule that is appropriate is natural rule. The type that God automatically has, since He created and manifested and continues to uphold the whole world that we live in. And if you're a Christian, I mean, pretty much already believe this unless you're some kind of strange and unorthodox Christian. I think pretty much every Christian believes that. I think we can confidently say that. And since Christ is Son of God, and not all who call themselves Christians may believe that He is pre-existent, but almost all, and all Orthodox Christians would attest that Christ is the very essence of God, God come into human flesh and who glorified it, who sacrificed His own human flesh, and thus, through His resurrection, glorified the true essential meaning of what humanity is to be. And through His life, we can now live that same life. And so He essentially asserted authority through the human being. And this is a sign of what is to come, of what we are meant to do. Our original calling was to be God's representatives, the imagers of God on earth, which basically means His representatives. And so in a sense, we are to take on that same sense of rulership, which is an influence through creation, through our own individual ability and powers that He gives us to build things up and not to destroy them. And it can be argued that governments actually, governments as in the idea of the state, as against the state of nature, that they actually destroy rather than build up. And it can be traced throughout Scripture how Christ builds up and He knocks down and refutes and destroys all kinds of assertions of power of human over human in hierarchies. And this is a debate that's been going on for millennia, really. Only basically through Christianity has empire had the brakes put on it, you could say. It hasn't happened immediately. Like Christ said, if you have faith as a mustard seed, even the greatest of mountains may be removed into the sea. And it's not something that happened overnight. It's something that has happened through the millennia, through struggle after struggle of beating this insane, monolithic, megalomaniacal juggernaut of the state. And we're getting there. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to be revolutionary, because all revolutionaries, all rebels, at least nominally, what they're fighting for is kith and kin. They're fighting for a home. They're fighting for safety. They're fighting for prosperity, for the ability to make ends meet, to actually have something put on the table, to not be overcome by the greedy, blood-sucking leech monsters, leviathans of the state. And so there's this relationship between revolutionaries, between rebellion, between resistance, and between relationships, reliance, and reciprocity. And I'm sorry for the little Southern Evangelical-esque tangent of a chain of assonance there. Just so happen that all those words start with the letter R. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, I was just watching a video by Stefan Molyneux, and this really just, it was like a little tiny bomb going off in the brain, like a little powerful explosive in the back of my brain, just as I realized, because I never quite got the connection between the relatively stable family life and cherishing of society in the 50s and the revolutionary elements of the 60s, which all these civil rights that were fought for. And it really brought it home for me. I can link to the video in the description here, but it goes into more detail. But it's an interesting correlation, and I used to have this tagline when I was younger in high school. This was back in, gosh, 2001 or something like that. 2001. Basically, I called myself, and I made my own T-shirts with puff paint, and one of my little slogans was "Rebel Against Rebellion." And this is essentially true if you accept that there is an evil power, or a consortium of evil powers congregating together into one conglomerate. Now there I go with assonance again. Sorry about that, but Satan is the god of this world, and I know that scripture can be contested. This, I mean, actually be referring to the true God, but John the apostle does call Satan. Does say that the whole world is under the power of the evil one. So there's a sense that if you even dare to stand up for what is right, what is true, what is just, what is noble, what is worthy of honor, that you're a rebel, because you're striking against the power that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And so, just as anyone who stands up for what is good and right is going to be a first outcast, and is going to be basically a remnant. It's going to be one of the few at first, and eventually this number will grow. But this means that we end up, first of all, we're a ragtag group of scallywags, because there's not many resources when you're talking about the few against the many. I mean, obviously more of the resources are going to be in the hands of the many and the wicked. And there's this whole long rant about it in Ecclesiastes, and some great existential stuff there. But so to be a true rebel, a radical, to go to the root. Oh my God, there's the R's again. Got to be some kind of symbolism to dig up here, but to get down to the meat of it means that to go against. I mean, you go from the reverse. To go against the entire flow of things means that you're basically for all that is good and true and just. And I mean, there's kind of artificial sort of rebellion that actually serves the interests of the powerful and the greedy, and only entrenches their power through a false sort of resistance. And like there's the agent provocateurs, and that are actually set up intentionally to entrench this power by creating threats, and make it even 10 times worse. But to be a true revolutionary, you have to stand for something, or else you'll fall for anything. I can't remember who said this, whether it was G.K. Chesterton or someone else. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out, and it's an important point to start out with, that there's a strong tie there, because people don't realize that this world, I mean, in order for evil to really sustain its foothold, it has to appear good, because nobody wants full-on destruction for themselves. I mean, a masochist wants feels pleasure in suffering because they're messed up. There's something gone wrong in their development. But they don't want the utter destruction because that means an end to their suffering and thus an end to their perverted sense of pleasure. And it can't be full suffering or else they won't get any pleasure at all. So, and another point is that evil cannot be pure because purity is a property of goodness. So evil is a parasite upon goodness, and it can't exist without some form of goodness. So it can only exist in partial degrees. There is no such thing as absolute, total, complete, thorough, pure evil. I mean, that's a saying we toss around, but it means, maybe there's a, like the whole saying about a little bit of poison ruins the whole drink, and we just need a drop of poison. And it can ruin the whole thing, but there's still that original drink, there's still that original liquid which the poison infiltrates, right? So, so where was I going with that? So basically, there's enough evil in the world that we have to resist it with all that is good, and this also, I think, signals the end of evil itself, because since it relies upon the existence of good, if the good becomes strong enough, then it will be defeated. So yeah, I think, and when I get so in depth here, I see how everything just kind of ties back into itself. Like you can reverse engineer it, and it's so complex. It's kind of like one of those 4D cubes, which, if you see a video of this, it's kind of like a cube that moves, and it's supposed to represent the extra dimension of time. And I'm afraid I think I've just blown my own circuits. I think I went on a tangent that went so far that I hope you have gotten some valuable points out of this. But once you see the whole expansive picture, it just speaks for itself. So I think I'll just leave it for that. And my break is over here at work, where I've been doing this video. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Bye.